Long ago in a galaxy far, far away, Star Wars actually meant some shit.
Yeah, remember when? Now we get Star Wars video game cutscene, the movie.
Oh, I thought this was Lego Star Wars.
Damn, man. I mean, I actually watched some marionettes. It was puppets without strings, man.
Yeah.
I mean, those motherfuckers, their hair didn't even move.
Yeah, they looked like Team America marionettes. They did. And it matched the acting perfectly because they were both so wooden.
Yeah, no, you know what? You make a joke, but seriously, the design of this movie, while I appreciate the actual design on paper, the way it would look.
Yeah.
And I even think they did this in the old Clone Wars cartoon that was on Cartoon Network.
Sure.
But putting them in 3D, where everything is rigid, it really does look like they took wooden figures and painted them with really dry acrylic paint. And it doesn't look all that appealing all the time.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, that's the thing about it. It's like that really bothered me through so much of the first half or third of the movie. Eventually, I kind of got used to it. Like, okay, I see what they're doing. They are painting them to look like wooden figures, or more and more like little figures from like a Warhammer game or D&D figures. But there just came a point when I was like, all right, now that I'm used to it, it's not bugging me so much.
Well, you know what bugs me about it the most, though, is that Lucas clearly has put his money into the merchandising for these films. I mean,
Right.
it's all about the toys and the stuff you sell. And when you start seeing the characters in the movie are moving closer and closer, looking exactly like what the toys are probably going to look like when they come out.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thrust they're going with now.
It's funny.
It's a little too obvious.
No, it is. I mean, the next movie is just going to be George Lucas on screen playing with his little action figures. Pew, pew, pew.
That's what I was going to say. There's all these people who I'm sure are listening to this who have a collection of Star Wars action figures. There's no reason that you can't just take your own action figures and make your own movie. Although I know a lot of you are afraid to break open those packages because you don't want to devalue the figures. But
And don't put videos of your little movies on Spill either, because we don't want to see them.
well, hell, we just watched this one. Why not?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
You've got a better chance of having a more entertaining storyline, that's for sure.
Well, what's jarring about it is that Lucas is always like people. If you talk bad about George Lucas, they always quick to say like, "Man, that guy's on the forefront of technology, and he's the one that makes this possible. He's the innovator." And then you watch this, it's like, well, this is several steps backwards from where 3D animation is right now.
People get that upset because there's really not a lot of mythologies of science fiction that this much money and time has been put into. And so people are very defensive about it. But you know what? People, stand up for yourselves. They can do better than this. There can be another mythology out there. We don't have to stick with this piece of shit they keep handing us. And believe me, this is just yet more shit. Okay, where's the dramatic tension when we know everything that's going to happen to every single one of these characters?
It really is taking a step back in dialogue. If you thought the dialogue in Star Wars could get no worse, wait until you hear a little Jedi say, "Hey, Sky Guy," talking about Luke Skywalker, and "Hey, Stinky," and I'm just like, God damn. No, they call Jabba the Hutt's little son
Stinky.
Stinky, and
I know you guys are going to crucify me for this. I thought the movie was okay.
I'm not going to crucify you because I was just going to say, for all my complaining, my flag is up. I give up, George Lucas. You got me. It's a fucking kids movie. Okay, it ain't for me. Apparently, you know where your money is, and I can't blame you for that.
How can you say that, though? We were in a theater full of kids, and I didn't hear any kids going, "Yay!" or laughing at any of the jokes or anything. In fact, I kept seeing parents leaving with their kids during it.
I stopped judging.
It looked to me like they were bored.
I don't know. I stopped judging by audiences that we go see movies with. I mean,
Well, fair enough.
Okay, let me just say this. And the movie opens up with me not knowing what the fuck is going on. It's just a bunch of stuff blowing up. And then they even come in with a guy that sounds like a World War II newsreel announcer. "Our boys in space, the Jedis are fighting the Empire. What are they going to do now?" And it's like, God be damned. Star Wars don't even know what Star Wars is anymore.
It was like Starship Troopers, except it didn't turn out to be a joke. It really was.
No,
It was what is this, a propaganda film or something?
I see what they were doing. They were trying to do something of a World War II newsreel, but they ain't never done that before. It's why now?
Well, he's always talked about how Star Wars was ripped off from the past, and the serials and the newsreels and the World War II films. So I guess somebody just said like, "Hey, let's actually put some of that in there," and then nobody else followed it up to carry that theme.
That's what it was. And even the announcer who was doing it, he was kind of like, "We open up with the Jedi." Come on, man. You want me to read this shit for real?
Like that?
Yeah, like
Exactly.
Okay. No, come on, man. No, but so the movie opens up like any other Star Wars movie. They open up in the middle of action, and you don't really in this movie, you're not really clear what's happening. However, when they got into the real meat of the story, which is the Jedi's have to go back and they have to go and save Jabba the Hutt's son, who's being held as a hostage because Count Dooku, which is a stupid ass name, he wants to create this rift between Jabba the Hutt's what are those things? The travel,
the trade routes.
the trade.
Which makes no sense because this is outer space. There's no like just roads you have to go down and mountains between them. You could take a very short detail in any one of the dimensions to get around.
Well, you do think if they're going at warp speed, it's like they could just warp around anything. But,
Exactly.
but apparently there's trade routes which are easy to go through. And Count Dooku wants to create a rift between Jabba the Hutt and the Jedi Alliance and the Federate or the Republic, whatever the fuck
the
they're called.
Republic.
Yeah.
So that they can ruin these trade routes and somehow ruin the Republic's whatever shit they got going
It's funny.
on.
It's a simple storyline, but even you messing it up and explaining it, and it's kind of that way.
Please explain it for me.
Well, no. I mean, that is it. You know, the what do they call the Sith? Count Dooku and his band of meanies are trying to make the Jedi look bad. They kidnap Jabba the Hutt's son, but then they're trying to set it up to make it look like the Jedi did it. So Jabba the Hutt, who's like a mafia don, won't let the Jedis come through and help them in this war. And see, okay, now I'm getting in the middle of
See,
like, what the hell's
exactly.
going on?
Yeah.
Well, I guess the trade routes are important for the Republic
for
cause.
all you kids out there who this movie is meant for, you need to know about trade routes and war and the intricacies of diplomacy and whatnot.
Yeah, apparently you got to watch Gulf War news reels to understand this movie.
Mixed with the perils of Pauline, of course. The only thing stopping Count Dooku from twirling his mustaches was that it was apparently made of wood and nailed to his face.
And there was no railroad track to tie Anakin to.
There's a point where he goes,
Oh yeah,
oh, like he's trying to do the evil laugh.
and it's funny because they talk about how the Hutts, Jabba the Hutt's clan, they're the greatest gangsters in the universe, and then they go to Jabba the Hutt's uncle, not his nephew, but his uncle, not his niece, but his uncle, and he's like, I kidnapped Jabba the Hutt's nephew because I want to be the biggest Jabba the Hutt don in the universe. I'm like, when did this motherfucker turn gay?
Yeah, he was center square in Universal Squares, that TV show. It was right next to Paul Lynde.
Yeah, no, he sound like a cross between a gay black man and Cartman. And,
But it is funny how, he was very effeminate, yet he could speak English, where Jabba the Hutt just, Jedi.
oh, I know, it's somebody making that shit up. You know that.
You know, he could really speak English, he just doesn't want to do it, so he has a translator there.
What am I paying this motherfucker for?
Now, here's the thing that gets me. Okay, like in the Jedi Order, you know, you're a young Jedi, a Padawan as they call it, and you have a Jedi master that you have to follow, listen to, like a Shaolin monk. Yet every one of these new Jedis, they're all sassy and they're talking back and shit. And I'm like, doesn't Yoda have like a orientation program where he says, listen, you must listen to your master, do this?
It can't be that hard to become a Jedi, obviously, because,
Right.
or at least get in the doorway, because they let in little shits like Anakin's new Padawan in this, who really is. You're like, what in the fuck is going on here? In what context is this a teacher-student relationship? It's more like a date rape situation getting ready to happen than anything.
Yeah,
Oh, no, dude, she was like red and white and multicolored. I mean,
But, what are you saying? You got a problem with like red, white, and multicolored like aliens?
I tend to be a little bit prejudiced when it comes to women.
Oh man, freaking Negroes.
but green bitches, boy, that's where it is.
That's true, man.
Well, yeah, you know, Captain Kirk broke that door open.
Yeah, exactly. No, I
Once you
mean,
go green, you never go back. It's true.
you couldn't even make that rhyme, could you? What
I
the
couldn't. There's no appropriate rhyme.
I mean, you could even just say it's not easy being green and make that work.
Once you go green, you go lean. I don't know.
Yeah, see, oh, maybe that's worse. Okay, never
See,
mind.
but what I will say in its favor is that, okay, they got like two different voice actors to replace Ewan McGregor and what's that boy, Christian Haydenson?
Yeah.
Christian, what's his name?
Hayden Christensen.
Hayden
Christensen.
Christensen.
Whatever.
Goddamn. Which I couldn't tell it wasn't them until they showed it at the end credits. But these guys are much better actors than the two of them. I mean, I thought the acting, as bad as it is, as wooden as it is, was still better than it was in those prequels.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. It's a little more animated, but partially because I think they were letting them be more animated in this one because it actually was a cartoon.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, all that being said, don't you think his whole, like, oh, this is just based on a serial thing has just turned into a fallback excuse for being lazy at this point?
I've
more
said that
than
from the
anything
beginning.
else? I mean, there was a point when you look at the original Star Wars and you look at the original Raiders of the Lost Ark, those things are a tribute and a well done one to those old serials. It doesn't cheap out like the old serials does. It's like, what if we took a serial and made it good? And now they're just going, fuck it. It's the old serials. We can do whatever the fuck we want. It doesn't matter.
No, they really have become lazy, and I really do think it had just it's because Star Wars has become such a commodity, and they really do know that the children is where the real money is. Because Star Wars, from the beginning, I mean, when it first started out as a true mythology. It was they were trying to make a real movie.
Right.
Soon after, they said, shit, we can sell toys, and we made this much money. And George Lucas just said, I don't give a fuck what y'all think. I'm gonna make this a children's movie, and that's what he did. And as a children's movie, I got wrapped up in the story, not big time, but just a little bit, where they had to return Jabba the Hutt's son. I really wanted to find out where that was going, but overall, I mean, it's not Star Wars anymore. No. And any adult who's still holding on to that dream that this is authentic, then you're screwed. You're retarded.
This is a bad dream that you had after like the first 3 Star Wars movies of the worst thing that could happen to the universe, and it came true.
Damn, that's harsh.
Well, for somebody like Star Wars Dave,
That's true.
I mean, that dude is hanging on. I think this is the one that's going to make him wake up screaming. By the way, Star Wars Dave is a friend of ours who just will not accept any illogical plot lines to the Star Wars universe. He will make sense out of bullshit.
Well, same for DJ Kent.
Oh, he loves Star Wars too that much?
Yeah, man, you can't talk bad about George Lucas without having DJ Kent swoop down on top of you.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, amongst a few other people. Who's the other guy? Is it Razmir who does that? There's
I-
somebody else who always, you guys need to stop talking shit about Star Wars. Okay, as soon as there's more good Star Wars, I will.
Yeah, please. I'm waiting for it.
But I will say, like, on one hand, I will cut this movie slack. I keep wanting to cut it slack only because it's not even like a real movie. It's the pilot to the TV series.
Yes, and it literally is.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of hold that against it. I mean, they actually released it in a theater, in which it doesn't look, except for the action scenes, it doesn't look like it holds up too well on the big screen in some parts.
It reminds me of when I saw the very first pilot episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Because Nickelodeon advertised it a lot, and when it came on, I watched it, and I was like, that was cute, kind of boring. I didn't realize it was a pilot. I just thought it was like a one-off episode. I was like, whatever. And I was like, oh, here's another one. And then by the 3rd episode, I was like, this is the most amazing cartoon I've ever seen. So it's one of these, like, maybe it needs to ramp up. But you're right. If something is a pilot, I don't really appreciate it being released to a theater where I have to pay for it. So I would say to all you, even though I might give it a better rating than necessary, you can always wait till it comes on Cartoon Network because it will definitely be there.
Yeah, I guess I was going between rental and matinee. And I'm gonna do that old fallback, which people always hate me for, but I'm a generous kind of guy. If you really want to take your kids to see something, this is the thing to take them to see. I always say this.
I always get mad at you when you do that, but this time I have to agree with you, and I'm gonna say matinee also.
Okay, I can't agree with either one of you, although I do float a little bit towards rental, only because even though the look of the wooden thing is weird and off-putting, at least they were trying something different.
Right.
I'll hand them points for that. But even so, it wasn't enough to keep me entertained. I was frankly bored out of my mind during this entire thing, which is saying something when it's primarily big battle scenes, So I got to give this some old bullshit. Honestly.
Really?
I just thought it was terrible. I thought it was effortless. Like they just said, fuck it. We can put anything we want, stamp Star Wars on it, and it won't matter.
I so went expecting to feel that way because what they showed me at San Diego Con was just that big battle at the beginning, and I'm just like, so fucking what? This is dull. But just kind of like Corey said, somewhere in the middle of it, I kind of got caught up into it. Not deeply, but just enough to where, like, okay, I'm interested in what's going to happen next.
I really do want to give it a rental. I really do, but it's not meant for me anymore. It really isn't. Star Wars is not meant for adults anymore, okay? I mean, it's not. It's either maybe an adult if you're playing video games. Maybe an adult if you want to, like you say, play with your toys at home or something. But
if you're obsessive about the continuity of the line of every single detail that happens in the Star Wars universe, then okay, this feels like one of those little short story collection stories written by somebody else, that isn't really important to know, but hey, if you gotta know, here it is.
It's a war, and they don't really give you a scope of the war. It's like, for all you know, the war is just this battle. But because they don't tell you jack shit.
I'm still not sure how these robots are a threat in any way, shape, or form to the Jedi, who pretty much casually bounce from robot to robot, slaying like 30 a second.
Right.
And you're like, okay, so, well, first off, how is Luke Skywalker ever a threat to Darth Vader?
Right.
Because he could never do shit like that.
Right.
And B, you know, I mean, come on. Where's this real threat here?
Well,
They
these
go
robots-
down like nothing. Why even build them?
And no, these robots, they're pretty much Abbott and Costello, the Three Stooges. I mean,
Except not funny.
That's what I don't get. Okay, say you're gonna build battle robots, and like the easiest thing is to program them to be logical. That's like the simplest programming to make. But these all have like comedic, bumbling personalities. That takes extra programming to do that.
Yeah.
Why would you spend the extra time and money to make a robot that's gonna just like shoot its other buddy or not do
why
what you
wouldn't
want?
give it like better battle prowess instead
Right.
of spending your time? You know what? This robot needs to be funnier. Well, you better keep working on that, buddy.
budget was low. They said we got to build comedy bots or combat bots, and they're like, "Hey, was it just mixing together?" Shit. When one of them ain't shooting people, we'll just have them do an act for us. YouTube, do that thing you did again. Who's on first?
Just like Douglas Adams' Star Wars, you know?
I said lunch, not launch.
You want to know what robot is a threat? Now I'm serious about this. R2D2, because whenever anything goes wrong, there's always a little hole for him to stick his little thing into and make it go right.
That's true. Not to mention, he comes up with new shit he can do.
Yeah, he's got jets. and he can
Anytime the
shock
script comes
people.
up with something.
Oh, I mean, you're making pancakes, there's a spatula coming out his ass, but with that whole thing of sticking things, he's a threat to you. Keep him away from your wife, your girlfriend. Don't let him around him, because he's like the vibrator with legs. And that little son of a bitch. And he's probably got one of those too. Anyway, so yeah, I just want you to know before we get out of here.
Yes.
I do agree with your old bullshit saying that somebody had to do it.
Yes.
I
and
want
that
to make
was
you
me.
I want to make you the bad guy here. So there you go.
George Lucas, I am your nemesis.
George Lucas. If George Lucas comes after anybody, it's gonna be you,
Hey, I'm
not
ready.
me. I'm scared to give it anything else below a matinee.
I'm going to be waking up tonight, and he'll be sitting in a darkened chair with a cigar smoking next to my bed.
I hear you didn't like my movie. You have to appreciate, like, the leader of the Hutt Mafia is Truman Capote.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was Truman Capote.
That is exactly who he was. Thank you. And he had all makeup and everything. That son of a bitch was a drag queen. You know, it's like when he ain't being a gangster, he's doing drag shows at the gay club.
It's not my fault. Count Dooku made me. He said he'd kill me.
Bitch, shut up. All you gotta do is slap him one good time. He ain't no gangster, bitch. Anyway. Damn.